Hey, everything I do, get it past slow. Think El Castro, knowing that the past broke. Not understand, now life's like a blast. Whoa, understand rules, it's eternity to blast mode. Listen.
Oh yeah. What's going on, guys? Thank you all so much for tuning back. Today we're going to be bringing you guys another AK-12 best class setup. Now this AK-12 class setup is going to be for beginners. In other words, if you're a player that cannot go over, I would say 4 to 5 kills back to back. And I mean, at the end of the day, the class setup could be used for any type of player, whether you're a beginner or whether you're just a player that, you know, is just looking for another class setup to use. At the end of the day, I do believe that this is a pretty solid class setup and could help just about anyone. Now remember, if you guys do enjoy this video or do find it helpful by the end of the video itself, please feel free to drop a thumbs up. It really does help out the channel grow and it motivates me to bring you guys more videos like this. Alright, so getting into the class setup here, we have the AK-12 assault rifle, and honestly I do believe that this weapon is sometimes, not all the time, sometimes underused. And I also believe that this weapon is very overpowered when it comes to recoil. There's been very few little weapons in any Call of Duty game that have a recoil like this AK-12. Like, this weapon feels like a laser, even with a silencer. So if you do not put a silencer, it's literally not going anywhere. It barely has any recoil, and that's why I honestly think that it is the best weapon for beginners or for just players that are looking for a best class setup in general. Now you guys might say that the IMR or the ARX have better recoil, but then again, if you're players that do not have the best control as far as accuracy goes, when you start tapping that trigger on the right hand side, your aim is just gonna get shaky, because that's happened to me before in the past. So that's why I went with the AK-12, because it's an automatic assault rifle. There is no need to tap any triggers. And even with that, even if you hold down the trigger, the recoil is still pretty damn effective. Alright, so getting into the attachments here, we have quick draw, extended mags, and stock. Quick draw grip, because this weapon does not shoot too fast. It could shoot a little bit better, but it's just like in Ghost. The AK-12 was really good with damage and stuff, but it has really slow fire rate. Now obviously this AK-12 in this game is not as powerful as it was in Ghost, but it is still pretty good. So anyways, the next attachment here we have is extended mags, just so we can have a little bit more bullets on our clip. There's gonna be times, especially with this weapon, the damage is not the best. It's pretty good for what it is, but it's not the best. So you might have to spend a few bullets, and especially if you're players that cannot really, you know, keep your aim, especially on one target, you might waste a couple bullets here and there. So then what you want to do is you want to have extended mags, just in case you have another enemy coming through. You don't have to waste time reloading and stuff like that. Then moving down into the next attachment, we have stock. Now in the beginning of this game, you might see me play a few games without stock and with the silencer. So that's because I was trying to grind out to get, you know, other attachments like stock and quick draw grip. But anyways, I definitely recommend stock in this class setup, or in basically almost every class setup for assault rifles, because it just makes aiming so much easier, guys. And even it makes you a harder target to hit also. So it's just a win-win situation whenever it is that you have stock on any AR rifle. So definitely recommend stock as one of your most recommended perks, I would say. Now one thing that I do want you to keep in mind when it comes to the AK-12 attachments, I didn't put silencer. You might think, how come you didn't put silencer if this is for beginners? Well, honestly, with the AK-12, you know, the actual damage with a silencer feels to me that it is not as strong as it could be without a silencer. So I think that honestly, without a silencer, this weapon will benefit you more when it comes to gunfights. And at the end of the day, in this game, you have exo abilities, you know, so you can somewhat, if you shoot the weapon and you're scared that somebody might spot you, you can definitely just get out of that spot, you know, in about 3 to 4 seconds, and you'll be somewhere completely different in the map. So, you know, the extra abilities allow you to kind of, you know, just move away from where it is the enemies might have spotted you a few seconds earlier. So that's why I think, you know, running these attachments for this class setup are better than a silencer. Do not get me wrong, if you guys want to put a silencer, go ahead, but I think the weapon performs better with these attachments. So moving down here into the secondary, we have no secondaries, no attachments for secondaries, perk 3 greed, and primary gunfighter, so we can have 3 attachments on our primary weapon, and of course the perk 3 greed is 2 extra perks on perk 3s. So that brings us to our perks. Perk 1, we have low profile, and low profile is very important. Obviously invisible to UAVs, tracking rounds, and exo ping. In this game, I've said it, UAVs are the most overused score streaks in the game, obviously because they're really helpful. So if you do not have on low profile, every time somebody, you know, calls in a UAV, which would probably be about a minute, you know, in every game, you will get spotted on the minimap, and obviously you don't want to do that. Even the best players, even if whether you're a beginner, you know, a middle type of player, or even an expert, you know, it is always very beneficial for you guys to run low profile, because you never really want to give away your position. It's not a smart thing to do, and especially in this game, people will get to you within 5 seconds, whether they're all the way across the map. It doesn't matter, they'll get to you. So make sure you guys run low profile so you can stay hidden when you want to be hidden. Alright, and now moving down into the second perk here, we have peripherals, and like I said before, increases the minimap coverage. Also, it takes out the enemy location without displaying their death. Well, basically, you might say, well, we don't even have a suppressor, so how does that even work? Well, you'd be surprised. There are players out there still that do not look at the minimap. They might look at the minimap, but not every 3 to 5 seconds how they should. There's players that look at the minimap every 20 seconds, every 30 seconds. Some even look at them every minute. So, you know, there are players that do that, and then those players are most likely the players that only look at the screen. So if you kill an enemy, you will at least have the advantage of not displaying, you know, their death location with the little skull after killing their teammate. So that's a way to, you know, kind of go around that. And then obviously increases minimap coverage. It gives you a better, you know, bird's eye view of where it is that enemies are at whenever they shoot their weapon, you know, so you can kind of plan ahead instead of just having a little square of a map. So then perk 3, we have blast suppressor, invisible on minimap when performing exo moves. This is the best perk in the game. Honestly, I've always said it in all my class setups. Best perk in the game. Definitely allows you to stay undercover, sneaky. You know, you can move your exosuit as many times as you want. It will not display your actual location on the minimap, because, you know, there is no need, like I said earlier, there is no need to tell people where you're at. You know, there is a time and place for everything, and in Call of Duty Ghosts, there is no time to be telling people where it is that you're at. It's just, you know, especially in this game, it's gonna get you killed too quickly, especially if you have 2 or 3 people going towards you and they all know where it is that you're at, then you're pretty much screwed. So run blast suppressor, that way you can stay hidden as long as you can. Now just please guys, don't get exo, you know, exo happy. Just don't do that, because that's not gonna do you any good either. Use your exo moves when you have to, not all the time. And then we have the final perk here, and that's toughness. And you might be like, why don't you run scavenger? Well, for those of you guys who love scavenger, I love scavenger more than toughness in this game. You can go ahead and run it without a problem and still be a great class setup. But the reason why I put toughness is because this is a class setup for beginners at the end of the day. And yeah, toughness is not as effective as it was in Ghost, but then again, it is still effective. If you're a player that has shaky aim, the slightest distraction from your aim will harm your accuracy in general. So that's why I run toughness somewhat to, you know, kind of focus this class setup a little bit more on beginner players. So I would run toughness, flinch less when shot, definitely will help you if you have, you know, not the best accuracy in the game. Then exo ability, we have exo overclock, get a temporary speed boost. This is the best exo ability. You can run from enemies when you need to, you can get to enemy spawns when you need to, and you don't have to call it in, and it does last you a pretty long time. So I think the exo ability, exo overclock, is a win-win-win-win situation. There is no flaws to that exo ability in my opinion. Alright, so now moving down into the score streaks here, we have the UAV, and like I said, this is the most overused score streak in the game for a reason. This is really good for beginner players, or just any player in general. Everybody uses this. And what you want to do is just, you know, get the UAV. Once you get the UAV, it'll give you a better idea of what it is that's going on in the game, so that way you can survive longer. And once your UAV is up, try to play a little bit more safe. And, you know, especially for those of you players who are somewhat beginners and cannot really get past a UAV all the time, maybe sometimes but not all the time, so just play it safe and let the UAV assist just help you out. You can patrol an area for, you know, a few seconds and let the UAV assist help you out, and then that'll probably help you, you know, achieve your orbital care package. And then once you get to that, you want to go ahead and put on better odds, because if you do not, sometimes that orbital care package will give you probably like an, you know, aerial recon drone, or just maybe another UAV, you know, and that's really not gonna help you out much. So just run better odds. That way sometimes they could probably give you a, you know, Vulcan, maybe a missile strike, a bombing run, you know, heck, maybe a warbird or a paladin, who knows, maybe a system hack. But it definitely does work as far as better odds go. You definitely will get, you know, something better most of the times. So that's the class setup for this AK-12 for beginners. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did find this useful or helpful in any way, shape, or form, please feel free to drop a thumbs up. For those of you guys who are new to my channel and do enjoy the daily videos, subscribe. I really would love to see you guys here once again. My name is HollowPoiint, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Toodles! Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys haven't checked out any of the previous videos, make sure to click the annotation on screen, and I'll see you guys on the next video.